Welcome to Monster Monday. So I'm going to be doing a double feature here. We're going to first be talking about an American Werewolf in London, and of course following it up with an American Werewolf in Paris. Now, this one of course is a classic, and of course I think the first thing we're going to talk about, because this is the thing that anyone talks about when they bring up this movie, which is Rick Baker's werewolf effects in this film. The transformation scene is iconic and is kind of the benchmark from there on of what a werewolf transformation needs to live up to. And for the most part, everyone almost always agrees that no one ever has. Now, I'm not a traditionalist, so I'm not exactly sure if that is accurate. I'd have to compare it to every other one, and I would choose myself as a good judge of that because I'm not nostalgic in that way. I'm not somebody that would be like, well, it's Werewolf in London, man. It's got to be the best. It's Rick Baker. It's this. Fuck all that. If something's better, it's fucking better. If it looks better, it looks better. I don't give a shit. I'm not that person. So I would like to watch a bunch of different werewolf movies, like transformation sequences, just one after the other, and be like, yeah, this really is the best one. Or be like, in my personal opinion, I think the one in, The Howling or something. I don't know. I'm not saying that for real. I'm saying like in an argument's sake, and I just, maybe, I don't know. I'd have to watch them. So I don't even remember the Howling one. So I vaguely remember. It's been a little while since I've seen them. So as a possibility, I love that the movie starts. Something I really like in horror movies, and this is why I would love to see the Blair Witch 2 director's cut, where the movie was supposed to start with Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft. Yeah, I like horror movies that start with more upbeat, fun music, something light, and then for it to kind of descend from there. And so when this starts with Blue Moon, which of course plays into the moon, and there's a few songs in here like Bad Moonrise and stuff like that play throughout the movie. There's a lot of moon songs for obvious reasons. It's just a great opening. And I'm usually not one for opening credits. I'm not a big fan of them, and I usually frown upon them. I'm just like, do we really need these? And it's just like wide scenery type shots of like hills and trees and shit, and this blue moon and all. But for some reason, it sets a really great tone. It sets a really great atmosphere. Now I will go out and say here that this may be my third time ever watching this movie. This is not one that I really was not that I didn't like the movie. It's just that it wasn't one that stuck with me. It's not one that I really wanted to run back and revisit. Now, as far as Rick Baker's effects go, I will say the transformation scene is very cool, very, very memorable, very iconic. I'm not going to debate that at all. And Jack, David's friend in this, the makeup done on him when he's rotting throughout. The first sequence where you see him, he's all cut up, is amazing. And then the next sequence, he's like green. And then the next one, his face is all falling apart. All of that stuff is fucking amazing. Awesome stuff. And absolutely like top notch. But then there's some other stuff in here. And I don't know if Rick Baker was involved with it or if they were in a rush or whatever, but there's some dream sequences he has, and they're dream sequences, so I guess we can forgive them because it's an interpretation of his dream and not so actual real life. But like when the werewolf soldiers or whatever these guys are break in and they start shooting the place up, the masks on them are horrible. Like dreadful, fucking look like the villain at the end of Wes Craven's Swamp Thing. Like Dollar Tree masks, awful shit. I was like, is that Rick Baker's work? Because I am not impressed in this moment. I don't know what that was, but it was bad. And there's a few other moments like that where I was like, that looks like shit. But then there's amazing stuff like the werewolf, and it's running through the streets, and it's, crawling down and all that. That all looks fantastic. So it's weird. There's some really dodgy stuff but for the most part, it is great. So we got our characters here, David and Jack, and they're backpacking, and they get to the Slaughtered Lamb, which of course is now an iconic location in the horror world. And they go into this place, and it's like a total record screech, like, what the fuck are you doing in here? Get out of here. I guess these guys don't really get visitors, but I think that this is the way they react because it's a full moon out. But I don't really understand why they push them out. Like, shouldn't they be over there, like, locking the door and being like, you can't leave? And then those guys would have been like, fuck this, and found a way to sneak out. And they're like, oh my God, they got out. We need to go help them. And people are like, no, we're not helping them. They broke free. We tried to stop them. And then other people are like, it'll be murder if we don't help them. And, you know, there's kind of a fight, a little civil war breaking out. That would have made more sense. But they come in and they're just like, get out. Why? Why? Now, why not just be like, look, you guys look tired. You know, there's been some maulings in the area at night. You'd be best to stay in here tonight. Like, why push them out? That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get that at all. And if the wolf was so easy to kill, to just gun down easily like that, why weren't these guys going out to hunt this thing in the first place? Like, it terrorizes their town, and they have up this, you know, they have this altar. They all are very aware of it. And then, of course, in addition to that, why didn't they just kill David once he was attacked? They knew he was going to change. He was so hurt that if he didn't have werewolf healing powers, he probably wouldn't, maybe not have survived. And you don't need silver bullets in this. You don't need some kind of, tool, the specific tool for this job. It's just you shoot them and they're dead. Now, of course, it's easier said than done to kill somebody. And did they know this werewolf guy? They must have. He must have just been a regular dude in town. And during that time, I don't know, like, I guess it would have looked like murder if they just killed the guy outright. But wait for him, you know, if you know the guy in town, go to his house when a full moon's about to come and be like, just wait for him to start to turn into the wolf. But then again, it would look like murder but at that time they wouldn't know, or would they? Would they know? Would they know that if they shot him, he'd turn back into a human? Did they think that he would stay looking like a wolf? I don't know. I don't know how much interaction they've had, but I'm overthinking things as always. But I was just watching this being like, why the hell did they even kick him out? That makes no sense to me. All right, so Jack is played by an actor that I've seen all over the place. Obviously, I think his first movie was freaking Who's That Girl with Madonna. That's a really fun, silly ass movie. But there's a movie that John Landis had some involvement in, and it's called Amazon Women on the Moon. I'm sure a couple of you are like, I love that movie, but then most of you are like, what the fuck is that? It's an anthology comedy movie. I love it. Arsenio Hall's opening, hilarious shit. But there's a sequence in that movie where Jack, the actor that plays Jack in this, he plays a doctor, and they lose a baby, and he's trying to fucking tell the parents like not to worry and this and that, and they're like, where's my kid? I need him now. And he's being overly like gross with the wife and all. And he does this thing. There's a scene with he tries to pretend that his hand first is their baby, and then he takes a Mr. Potato Head and he grabs it, and the dad, the only reason I'm saying all of this is because this is one of my most used lines, completely out of context, that I use in my life. I will just randomly say this anytime we're around a baby or whatever. I will just be like, that is not a baby. That is a Mr. Potato Head. It's probably in my top 10 lines of all time. And it's said in that scene with that actor. So when I saw him, instantly it was the not a baby, it's a Mr. Potato Head line. Just fucking, I love it. I love it, man. I want a shirt that says that's not a baby, it's a Mr. Potato Head. Anyway. And I love how there's a super loud howl outside, And the chick running the bar is like, did you guys hear that? And it's like, did they hear that? And then same thing with Jack and David outside. Fucking super loud howl. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Really? Did you hear that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they heard that. David bails on Jack the second he gets attacked, but he does go back. He's like, Jack, oh shit, I screwed up. And he runs back for him. This would be like, it kind of reminds me of The Ritual a little bit. He has a moment to possibly save his friend. He wouldn't have been able to save him, I don't think. But he lives with that regret, except for in this one, he literally follows him around and makes him feel awful about himself. Now, this plays out more like a dark comedy, but it definitely has some strong horror elements in it as well. I like that the nurse totally sexually objectifies this guy by being like, I looked at his dick. He must be a Jew. It's like, wow, this is dialogue you're not going to hear in more modern day films. That's great stuff. Oh my God, Nurse Price. Alex Price. So hot. This actress, man, in this movie, just so hot. Now, of course, I recognize her. I've seen her in plenty of stuff. She's the foster mom in Child's Play 2, and I've seen her plenty. But she is so fucking hot in this movie. So gorgeous. I shouldn't even say hot. She is hot, don't get me wrong, but she's a different kind. She's so fucking pretty in this movie. When she comes in, I'm like, oh, and she has that accent, and she's got this just, there's something about her. She's so fucking pretty. It just was tripping me out when I was watching. I was like, God damn, man, I'm like having a hard time focusing here. You're so hot. Pretty, gorgeous, beautiful. And, oh man, when he finds out his friend dies and that he's like sitting there and he's making him feel bad. Here's a question I have. How does Jack know? How does Jack know all these rules? Is there like, when he died, was he like, did he go up to the gates of heaven and they were like, all right, so here's the rules. You were attacked by a werewolf. You have to forever walk the earth until the werewolf that killed you is dead. So you need to go back there and make sure he kills himself. Which, if there is a heaven, or if there is some kind of afterlife and you know of it, I would be really worried about suicide being a sin all of a sudden. I'd be like, can I kill myself? I mean, since you know the rules of what's going on here, can you at least tell me that if I commit suicide? But then again, I'd be like, yeah, but you're just telling me that because you don't want to fucking walk the earth any longer, especially while your body's rotting. And it seems like whatever's happening to his body on earth, this is actually how his body's working. So would he then eventually just start looking like would he just be a skeleton walking around? So his decomposing body, I was like, is that just going to continue to keep happening for years and years and years until David just dies of old age? But David, it would be kind of cool to be like, well, I guess there's an afterlife. But then, of course, David would essentially think he was losing his fucking mind. And he'd be like, I'm not killing myself. I'm fucking crazy. But then when he wakes up in the zoo, I find it really funny that Nurse Price throughout this entire movie until the very end seems to think his erratic, ridiculous behavior and all of his nonsensical talk is just hilarious. She just thinks it's adorable and hilarious. And she's like, I find you very attractive and I don't really care. And it's like the dude disappeared in the middle of the night and woke up naked, covered in fucking some blood, out in a zoo, miles from here, comes home in a woman's outfit that you just met this guy. You just met this guy and he's acting like a fucking lunatic. And she's just like, oh, that's so funny. That's so cute. She's so nonchalant, so blasé about everything. I'm like, really? Really? Because when I've dated girls, when I've been around girls, if I slip up even this fucking much, especially in the beginning, are you kidding me? In the first freaking few days, let alone years or months or whatever, you slip up this much, girls are like, nah, I'm done. I'm out. This guy's fucking acting like a nutcase. He's running all over. And she's just like, I love you. I think you're amazing. She's got issues, man. She's got issues. And I want all of them. In my experience, though, I always see nurses in nursing school because I've been around a few nursing schools where they're outside of places that I've went and I see them and they're all the girls that are going in there for nursing school. They're all fucking young and hot and gorgeous as fucking hell. And then I'm like, where are you guys? Because I've been to the hospital a lot in my life. I used to skateboard. I used to do all sorts of crazy things. I've been in the hospital a lot. Every hospital I've ever been in, the nurses in there are not attractive. They are middle-aged, overweight, not my type. If you're into that, that's totally fine. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Whatever, I don't care. In my opinion, the girls before they go are hot. What happens to them? What's going on in nursing, man? But that must be a tough job, man. They're seriously like, fuck it. And you always see doctors and nurses outside smoking, and you're like, you're smoking? You're smoking after you see what you see all the time? What the hell? There's a dream within a dream in here. Ugh, I hate those. I love how their first kiss is then followed with instantly, I'm a werewolf. It's like, I've never said that after a first kiss, I can tell you that. I've said a lot of shit after first kisses, but not I'm a werewolf. He should have been like, I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. No, this ain't a Nick Cage movie. The sex scene between him and the nurse there is so not sexy. It is a really poor sex scene. I don't really talk about sex sequences in the channel much, but there's some really sexy, sex scenes in movies. Some real, sensual, sexy shit, or real, hardcore stuff that's, getting you into it. Whatnot. This is not sexy at all. It's very clunky. It's very clumsy. Kind of like real one-night stands. This actually feels like a real one-night stand. But then it goes on beyond one night. They have, so it's like a couple day stand. And then so he goes out and he has his first night, and I guess there's 2 full moons in a row, which doesn't actually happen. I've actually had to research that for a werewolf movie I was making, so I don't really know how this works, but he transforms 2 nights in a row. I don't care. Anyway, moving on. I love how he decides that he's going to call a child over to a bush that he's hiding in completely stark naked and offer him money to come to his naked body. I was like, oh, that's probably not the best idea, man. He's like, give me your balloons and I'll give you money. Like, the dude's offering a child money while naked in public. You want to get arrested. There's how you get arrested. When he's trying to get arrested later in the movie, take off all your clothes and offer a child money if he comes to you. Oh, I think that fucking Bobby there, isn't that what they call him? Freaking, yeah, the old Bobbies. No, that's what they call the freaking cops over there in London, right? Bobby, yeah. I'm fucking crazy. I've never been there, so I don't know. And how the hell did he pay for a bus? Is it like over there? Is public transportation paid for by because I know the taxes are really high. So is that included? Do you just get to get on the bus and go? He didn't have any money. Was there money in the pockets? He offered that kid money and then stole all his balloons. What an asshole. So we know he definitely didn't have any money up his ass or anything. And yeah, she's so chipper about everything. I have that written down here a couple times. And then he tries to get arrested, and then he wants to kill himself, but of course he can't, because that's easier said than done. I've said that many, many times. The fucking porn sequence when he goes into that porn house, which, what a weird concept, dude. Going into a porn theater. Sitting down next to a bunch of dudes. Imagine watching porn with a bunch of dudes. Reminds me of that Wilfred scene. Anybody fan of Wilfred? God, I love that show with Elijah Wood, the American one, when Chris Supley, right? That is like his neighbor, and he comes over and he's like, "You want to porn out with me?" And he's, you don't watch porn with your friends. I mean, when you're young kids, you do. When you're 14, 15, and your buddy has porn, you're like, dude, I found some porn, let's check it out, which is really weird and kind of awkward because you're sitting there and you're just like, dude, go looking, and you're looking over at your friend like, that's kind of awkward. But yeah, sitting in a porn theater, of course, that's going to bring up Pee Wee Herman in my mind, but he got a raw deal. I mean, what the fuck did they think he was doing in there? But yeah, jerking. You're not allowed to jerk off, right? I don't think that was allowed, but of course people were doing it. Like, I don't know. What a weird thing. But the porn up on the screen made me laugh out loud when she was just like, when the guy breaks into the room, he's like, "Hey, you said you'd never do this to me again." And the guy is like, you know, he says something to him along the lines of like, oh, it's not what it looks like or something. And he's like, "No, not you, her." And she's like, "I've never seen you before in my life." And he's like, oh, sorry, wrong room. And he walks out. Fucking hilarious. And then he looks over at Jack and he's like, "This is a good movie." That was fucking hilarious. That's probably my favorite bit in the whole movie. Probably my favorite line. Funniest fucking part in the whole movie is that porno and his reaction to it. Good stuff, man. And the chick up on the screen, great tits. All right. So never gonna not point that out. And then, oh man, then he brings all of the victims that he killed on his first night and tries to guilt him into killing himself. That sequence is fantastic. Just absolutely fantastic. I love how, the homeless guys are real gruff, and then the other dudes, like, are a fucking asshole, and then the couple that he meets are really sweet, but then they're all coming up with different scenarios and different ways he can kill himself. That's just a brilliant, hilarious, awesome sequence, and I love it. And is just debating over the way he should kill himself, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to do that," and "Oh, I don't want to do that." It's just so funny. And then so the cops go and they barricade the door once he starts turning into a werewolf, and people start gathering around. When cops are barricading a door and things are smashing on it, go away. Anybody who died in the very close proximity of that door who was sitting there and watching fucking deserved it. Not the cops, because they were the ones trying to help. But anyone who's like, "What's going on? Oh, what's going on? Why are they trying to hold back that door? Why is it being smashed into?" No fucking way, dude. People would be running for their lives. I don't buy it. Maybe some idiots. I don't know. Nowadays, they'd be out with their camera. "Oh no, what the fuck? I'm gonna be famous." And then they'd be dead. They'd be fucking famous for being dead. How famous do you feel now, dumbass? Get the fuck away from there. Anyways, moving on. The mayhem in the streets, the dude getting run over by the car, the guy going through the windshield, the freaking bus going around, and the werewolf walking. Amazing. Amazing. Great stuff, man. Loved it. Really sad with the nurse being like, "I loved you, David," and then he's shot, and then it's just him laying there and her crying, and credits. Blue moon. It's all like happy start, fun, dark, sad, fun. Like, it's really sad, cuts off, blue moon, and you're like, oh, that's really, really fucking depressing. So there you go. Anyways, all right, my brother's been texting me. I gotta go play some video games. I'll cover An American Werewolf in Paris later. I already watched it, and I look forward to it. See you guys in a few hours. Although, you know what I mean. All right, adios.